Long ago, in a quiet village, lived two brothers. The elder brother was blind, while the younger worked tirelessly on their small farm. Yet, no matter how hard the younger brother labored, wild animals frequently raided the fields, destroying their crops. Frustration grew day by day until he devised a clever idea. He thought, why not ask my elder brother to guard the fields? He cannot see, but he can hear. If animals approach, he can shout and scare them away. He built a small hut in the field and asked his blind brother to stay there. Brother, when you hear animals, shout loudly to chase them away. The elder agreed gladly, happy to contribute despite his blindness. From that day, he lived in the hut, using his sharp hearing to protect the crops. Days passed, and the plan worked perfectly. Whenever animals approached, the blind man's loud shouts drove them away. But one day, something unusual happened. A deer dashed into the field, breaking through the fence. Right behind it, a king arrived on horseback, pursuing the animal. When the king saw the blind man sitting in the field, he asked, "Did you see the deer pass through here?" The blind man calmly replied, "O king, I am blind. I cannot see. But I can tell you this. The deer you are chasing is not worthy of your hunt." Surprised, the king demanded, "How do you know that? You claim to be blind, yet you know this animal is unfit for me to hunt." The blind man answered with confidence, "The animal you chase is a pregnant doe. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant deer. That is why I say she is not worthy of your pursuit." The king was astonished. How could a blind man know the deer was female and pregnant? Curious, he ordered his soldiers to catch the deer alive to confirm this claim. Soon the soldiers returned, confirming the blind man's words. The deer was indeed pregnant. The king's amazement grew. He approached the blind man again. "You must tell me how you knew this." The blind man explained, "When the animal passed, I heard the sound of her steps, slower, heavier, with a cautious rhythm. When she broke through the fence instead of jumping, I knew she carried life within her. Jumping would have risked her unborn fawn." The king was impressed by the man's wisdom. A man without sight, yet able to see more than those with eyes. He realized this blind man possessed extraordinary perception. Thus began a series of tests and conversations between the king and the blind man. Encounters that would eventually reveal not only the secrets of reading minds, but also the profound truths hidden in human behavior. The king could not stop thinking about the blind man's uncanny wisdom. Days later, he sent his general to bring the man to the palace. The blind man, sensing the king's curiosity, agreed to go but warned himself silently. The king's questions may lead to dangerous truths. When they arrived, the king greeted him and said, "Wise man, you have already proven you can sense what others cannot. I have another question for you. Tell me, is my queen truly loyal to me?" The blind man hesitated. "O king, that is a dangerous question. Why would you doubt your queen after so many years?" The king's voice turned stern. "You must answer me. If you do not, I will have no choice but to punish you." With calmness, the blind man replied, "Very well. To answer, you must do one thing. Leave me alone with your queen in a locked room." The king's face darkened with anger, but after a moment, he agreed, ordering his soldiers to leave them. The room was locked. The queen stood firm, glaring at the blind man. He said softly, "My queen, to know the truth, I must touch you." Fury exploded in her eyes. She struck him with her hands, kicked him, and beat him relentlessly until he stumbled out bruised and trembling. The king rushed to him. "Well, what have you learned?" The blind man wiped the blood from his lips and said, "O king, your queen is not virtuous. A truly loyal woman would have refused me with dignity, without ever laying a hand on me. But she touched me in anger, and in doing so, revealed her heart." The king's face turned pale with rage. He confronted his queen, demanding the truth under the threat of death. The queen, weeping, confessed, "No, I am not as faithful as you believe." The king's heart shattered. Yet, deep inside, he knew the blind man's words had uncovered a truth he had long feared. Despite the pain, His curiosity only grew. He turned to the blind man again. "One last question," the king said. "Tell me, am I truly the son of my father?" The blind man sighed. "Do you really wish to know this? Sometimes the answers you seek bring only sorrow." "I must know," the king insisted. The blind man agreed, but first made the king promise not to harm him. Then he said, "You are your father's son, yet you bear the shadow of a miser upon you." The king's face burned with anger. "What do you mean by that?" The blind man replied. "From the moment I met you, you have asked for truths but have given me nothing in return. Even now, you withhold generosity, a sign of miserliness. This shadow comes not from birth, but from your actions." The king fell silent. He had no answer. Deep in his heart, he realized the man was right. The king, still shaken by the revelations, approached the blind man with newfound respect. "You have exposed truths no one dared speak. Tell me, how do you know the secrets of people's hearts without sight?" The blind man smiled faintly. "O king, true sight is not in the eyes but in awareness. I do not see with my eyes, I observe with my mind. Every person reveals their inner world through their actions." The king leaned closer. Teach me how to read minds as you do." The blind man nodded. "It is not magic, Rajan. It is a skill anyone can learn, if they are willing to train their mind. First, you must quiet your own thoughts. Only when your mind is calm and present can you notice the signals others unconsciously send." The king listened intently as the blind man began to reveal his secrets. "Step 1. Watch the eyes." "The eyes," the blind man said, "are the windows to the soul. Even without speaking, they reveal what a person hides. When someone lies, they cannot hold your gaze. They shift their eyes, searching for an escape. When someone is guilty, their eyes tremble with fear. And when someone loves or admires, their eyes glow, unable to conceal their feelings." He leaned forward. "Though I have lost my own sight, I once had eyes. My teacher taught me this art before I became blind. I remember everything. You, too, must learn to look, not just at the eyes, but through them." The king thought about the many times he had ignored such signs in people's eyes. "Step 2. Read the face." "The second key," the blind man continued, "is the face. Faces speak when lips lie. A forced smile never reaches the eyes. Wrinkles of worry linger even when words sound calm. A quick twitch of the mouth, a furrowed brow, a subtle frown. These reveal emotions people try to hide." The king remembered how his queen's face often betrayed unease, though she had always smiled sweetly. "Step 3. Observe the body." "Finally," said the blind man, "the body never lies. Every movement, every gesture tells a story. When a person feels fear, their shoulders tighten. When they feel guilt, they avoid touch. When they are confident, their posture is open and strong." The king was fascinated. "So, to know someone's mind, I must watch their body as well." "Yes," the blind man replied. "But there is a greater secret. Before you read others, you must master yourself. A restless mind cannot see clearly. Calm your thoughts. Live in the present moment, and only then will the truth of others be visible to you." The king bowed his head. "You have taught me more than any sage. You have given me a new kind of sight." The blind man smiled. "You now have the tools, but skill comes from practice, not from knowing. Observe, listen, and your understanding will grow." The king decided then and there to keep the blind man as his teacher and guide. From that day onward, the king became the blind man's devoted student. Every morning, they would sit in silence, practicing the first and most important lesson, calming the mind. The blind man would say, "Rajan, when your thoughts are noisy, you see only what your fear wants you to see. When your thoughts are still, truth rises like the sun." At first, the king struggled. His mind raced with worries of the kingdom, memories of betrayal, and doubts about the future. But with daily practice, he began to notice things he had never paid attention to before. The subtle tremble in a servant's hands, the hidden sadness in a soldier's voice, the unspoken fear behind a nobleman's boast. Weeks passed, and the king's perception sharpened. He tested his new skills discreetly. When advisors brought him reports, he watched their eyes and knew who was lying. When he spoke with villagers, he observed their faces and felt their unspoken concerns. When he led his army, he sensed which men were brave and which were secretly afraid. His decisions became wiser, his leadership stronger. The people began to say, "Our king sees everything, even without looking." One evening, under the dim light of the palace lamps, the king asked, "Teacher, I can now sense what others feel. But how do I use this power wisely?" The blind man replied, "Knowledge without compassion is dangerous. Do not use this art to control or manipulate. Use it to understand, to protect, to lead with justice. When you see the truth in someone's heart, do not judge, guide them." The king bowed deeply. "Your teachings have opened my eyes more than sight ever could." Years later, the king ruled with unmatched wisdom, and the blind master's methods became a legend throughout the land. People said the king could read minds, but he always replied, "I do not read minds. I listen to what is already being said, through eyes, faces, and the language of the body." The story ends with the blind man's words echoing in the king's heart. Control yourself first, and the minds of others will open to you like an unwritten book. Sparkles, this concludes the story of the 3 techniques to read anyone's mind. These ancient insights remind us that observation, presence, and empathy are the real keys to understanding people.